Every human and animal is going to die eventually anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't...
So that doesn't justify murder, though. Not sure? Do you think it's okay to murder if everyone's just going to die? You've sat down at a table that says, if you're not vegan, you support animal abuse, change my mind. Do you agree with the sign or do you disagree?
I completely disagree with the sign.
Okay, let me know your point of view.
Because... I don't know how to start.
Let me start with this. Are you against animal abuse?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
If you think about it, people even... Sorry.
That's all right, take your time. Honestly, it's fine, don't worry. Unless you want me to go first.
You go first.
Yeah?
How to
Okay.
start.
So I'll just tell you a little bit about me. So I've always been an animal lover. I've always loved animals, always been against animal abuse. But I haven't always been vegan. And I didn't understand what I was paying for and essentially the victim of my choice. When I got to the age of 26, I saw inside of a slaughterhouse, and that's when I turned vegan. I saw a mother cow on her side from the dairy industry who was having a throat cut open inside of a slaughterhouse, and I had no idea that happened. I didn't know. I just didn't know for some reason, and it was like a blindfold had came off, and I then was like, oh my gosh, every time I've been buying for dairy, I was paying for cows to be killed and have their babies taken from them, and I just had no idea. So we're not out here today judging people, because good people don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, because the adverts never show you the truth. They show you green grass, happy animals, and I learned very quickly that that's a really big lie. And the science says if you're not vegan, you support animal abuse, because it's not that you are supporting animal abuse on purpose, going, oh yeah, you're an animal abuser, you like this. It's more, it's actually a fact. And then we can talk about it like this.
When you say about how them being happy in fields is a lie, I feel like that's not like fully true. I don't think that's actually a lie, because a lot of the time that's actually how they live their life, and then they end up being killed humanely when they become like a lot older.
And this is exactly the way I thought as well. And this is the lie that they have perpetuated onto us. When you see, say, like cows in a field, that's a very tiny percent of animal agriculture, and they will probably be locked up in like a big barn for the rest of the year in the winter. And we always say to people, we're not here for welfare, but we're here for animal rights. So even if an animal had a really great life, they're still going into a slaughterhouse and having their throat cut. And you say humane and you say old, they're two things that don't happen. For instance, pigs in the UK. How old do you think they are when they go to a slaughterhouse?
And 6 months.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you spoke to, yeah. So they're babies. And then they get put into a gas chamber. Do you think gas chambers are humane?
I don't agree with anything that would like harm the animal, like, and they end up like actually feeling the pain.
Yeah.
Like the gas chamber thing, I think like if that does happen, I do think that's wrong.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen everywhere. A lot of the time it's like they get like, I think it's like some sort of needle that they get like.
I really used to think the same as well. This is sadly the lies that they say. They don't get injected with a needle or anything. They get bulk gun, hung upside down and throat cut. But when we say this humane word, can we put humane, which means kindness, compassion, benevolence, next to the word kill, murder? It's like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. They're polar opposites. And the reason that they put the word humane in front of murder is because good people wouldn't pay for a product if they knew the truth. They tricked me as well. I used to believe humane.
Just because someone's not vegan doesn't mean that they're like an animal abuser, because they're not the ones that are actively doing it. People who are vegans can abuse their pets. They would still be an animal abuser.
Do you know the only reason why these industries exist in the first place?
Us.
Yeah. So when you say we're not directly doing the killing, like we're not here chopping off an animal's head.
Yeah.
But what we are doing is I'm giving, say, like you money or someone else money who has the knife to stab them in the neck. So without me paying for them to do that, they wouldn't do that for me. A bit like a hitman. So if I wanted I don't know, Jim killed, but I didn't want to do it. I could pay someone to kill Jim for me, but if I didn't demand that Jim was killed, they wouldn't have killed Jim for me.
Technically, that's still not you doing it.
Well,
You're not actually doing it.
I'm not doing the act like in person myself, but I'm giving someone the money to do it for me. So it is still a direct link to it. Because if I didn't want Jim, this is no, I like Jims, by the way, this isn't anything about Jims. If I didn't want Jim to be killed, then he wouldn't have been killed. So you either...
He would have died either way, realistically, though. It depends how old the person is you want killed.
I mean murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would have been murdered for me.
It depends how old they are, because eventually they're going to die anyway.
But if I wanted to murder someone, but I didn't want to pull the knife myself, I could pay someone to do it for me. So I could pay my husband to kill Jim.
Poor Jim.
Yeah, poor Jim. But if I was like, I don't want Jim to be murdered, then I wouldn't be paying someone else to kill him for me. So he wouldn't be murdered on my behalf.
Technically, he'd die anyway, though.
But he wouldn't be murdered on my behalf, because we'll all die anyway.
Every human and animal is going to die eventually anyway, so
yes.
I don't...
So that doesn't justify murder, though. Not sure? Do you think it's okay to murder if everyone's just going to die? I don't think you think that. But you understand, though, so every time you pay for an animal product, you're demanding the next animal to be killed and be replaced on that shelf. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reality of it anyway. So you have a direct link to the animal being killed in the slaughterhouse if you paid for it. But that's why, like, now I'm vegan, because I could never, now that I know what happens to animals, I would never ever want an animal to be inside of a slaughterhouse on my behalf, when I can just choose not to pay for it. So if we boycott these industries, what do you think happens to the industries if we remove our money from them?
Technically, it depends how many people are actually agreeing to boycott.
You're right. It's systemic change, and that's how anything that's ever happened in history has ever changed. Like slavery, someone stood up and said, "This is wrong," and then the next person said, "Yeah, this is wrong," and then over time, slavery was abolished because it started with a small group of people first.
Yeah, that still sometimes happens though.
Yeah, and it's horrible, right?
Yeah.
But we've got the majority now saying that's wrong, and you're not part of slavery as well.
No.
But what you are doing at the moment, if you're not vegan, is paying for the animal slavery, rape, kidnap, torture, and murder. But you have never seen the footage. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. I might have seen something like that when I was in school.
Yeah. Well, I never saw anything in school. Do you want to see? Could I show you a little snippet?
Sure.
I want you to see what humane looks like, or what they call humane.
Humane is when the animals don't feel any pain though.
Yeah, so I would say humane is, say like we have a dog and the dog's old and there's nothing else we can do for that dog now and they're coming to the end. I would say the only way we can compassionately kill is when there's no other option. So you're actually putting somebody out of suffering, and that's with like an injection where they fall asleep. But what happens inside of a slaughterhouse is nothing like that.
I think they've technically been put out of misery anyway. Like if they're being cooped up in a slaughterhouse, killing them is just putting them out of their misery, isn't it, really?
Their whole life is absolute torture.
Yeah, so technically they are being put out of their misery.
But the point is, we didn't buy the products, then they wouldn't have been born into existence to have lived that life to then be killed at the end.
They probably would have still been born though.
No, they're forcibly bred into existence. I'll show you actually quickly. So like in the dairy industry, the only reason a cow produces milk is because she's a mum. And to meet the demand, they have to breed the animals. So they rape them, and this is how they do it. So they tie her up or put her into a cattle crush. And then after 9 months, she gives birth to her baby.
That just looks disgusting.
Why do you think they're taking the baby away from her?
Coop it up.
So the males, they don't produce milk?
Male cows are bulls, aren't they?
Yeah, so they don't produce milk, so they're classed as a waste product to the industry, and they're taken into a slaughterhouse. They've just been born, and now they're on the way to the slaughterhouse to have their throat cut because humans are buying her breast milk because the farmer wants to make a profit from her breast milk. Even though her breast milk is intended for him, not for us. And I didn't know any of this. I honestly thought cows just eat grass and produce milk. It's him crying out for his mother.
I don't want to see any more of this.
Don't want to see any more?
It's just, ugh.
Yeah, it's horrible. So we can't even watch it. Do you think that's a good indication that we shouldn't be paying for it?
Yeah, but it depends where you get your meat from, though. Because some places do actually do it humanely.
How do you humanely kill someone who doesn't want to die?
Like someone or an animal?
There is someone.
Like an actual person?
There is someone. These animals here. They're all individuals who feel pain, suffer, feel joy, happiness. How do you kill someone like that who doesn't want to die?
Kill quickly.
Humanely.
Kill quickly.
Okay. Would it
Or
be...
wait until it grows old and it's lived its fullest life. Then do it quickly. Like in a way that they don't feel pain.
But that's not the reality. And we wouldn't say that with humans. Like, we wouldn't go to an old people's home and be like, oh, well, we're at the end of their life now. We can just kill them really fast. We would say, no, they deserve a right to live their life.
Yeah, but they're people. There's a difference between people and animals, if you think about it. Because humans are at the top of the food chain anyway.
What if I wanted to eat the old people, though?
That's cannibalism.
But that's all right. What if I wanted to eat them, though? Is that justified to kill the old people?
No, because that's illegal. Cannibalism is illegal.
So do you think just because something's illegal makes it moral? Because slavery was once legal. And I'd say that's wrong.
Yeah.
So we can't justify our actions on what's legal because it doesn't make it moral automatically.
Either way, though, eating a person is a lot different than eating an animal.
Why?
Because you're eating your own kind.
What if, though, I did it in a humane way, waited till they're older?
But either way, you're eating your own kind, so that's automatically going to be wrong.
It is wrong.
regardless.
I agree it's wrong. Of course, I agree it's wrong. But I also agree that this is wrong. Do you agree that this is wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you justify paying for it?
Don't think about it.
The willful ignorance. Do you think that's okay, though, to the victim who's in there right now? You couldn't even see their murder? If we just go, oh, I just want to look at it because it actually affects me. But, I mean, we just don't have to pay for it. You don't have to be involved in that. There's so many other things that you can buy. Do you know what vegan is?
Yeah, you don't eat any sort of animal products.
So that's part of it. But veganism is actually like a moral stance against animal use and exploitation. So I've always been vegan at heart, but my actions weren't aligning with my morals. So I've always been against animal abuse, exploitation and murder. But because I didn't know, I was just paying for it. And I didn't understand. Once I knew the truth, my morals were like, well, yeah, I'm not paying for that now. I know that happens. Of course I'm not going to be involved with that.
Yeah.
And you also said the same, that you're against animal abuse as well. So that's all it is, just aligning your actions with your own beliefs. This is what you think, not what I think. Even though we have sort of similar thought processes on it.
Yeah, it's still not going to... Realistically, a lot of people, it's still not going to stop them from eating meat, though. And it's not going to stop them from eating cheese, milk, drinking milk, and everything like that.
What about you, though? Because
It's not going to stop me. I love cheese too much.
You love cheese more than what they go through. I mean, you can't even watch them little babies get murdered. But
Because they're babies.
But you're the reason.
I'm directly not the reason.
Every time you pay and consume animal products, you're demanding, so they're supplying. Does that make sense? If I had, I don't know, say 10 bits of cheese here, and everybody bought my cheese from the cows, I would then be like, oh great, I made profit from that, so I'm now going to rape more cows. I'm going to take their babies and kill their babies so I can steal her breast milk and sell more cheese.
I don't think they actually kill the babies when they're babies, though. I think
They do, yeah,
They wait
just
for
a few
them
days
to grow
old.
up.
You just saw them, a few days old.
Fair point.
But even if they did, still doesn't make it moral. That breast milk's for the baby. We're not baby cows.
I could argue against that.
There's no justification for what we do to animals for a sensory pleasure.
It's not just a sensory pleasure though. It's more of a, because some people like really need the nutrients and the minerals and everything that comes from like meat and like animal made products and stuff like that.
Do you not think they can live without that?
Some people know.
What about you? Because all our nutrients actually all come from plants. So we're actually getting our nutrients
I disagree
through,
with that.
but that's literal like what science states. Like the biggest academy of nutrition and dietetics in the entire world. So you can be healthy as a plant, as a vegan. So you get all your nutrients from plants first, then the animal eats the plants, you eat the animal, and that's how you get nutrients secondhand through the animal's body. If we just remove the animal, not hurt them, we get all the same taste and all, like nothing really changes for us.
It's not the same taste though.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
But
It does
so
matter.
again, so it comes down to taste again for you. So a sensory pleasure.
And the fact that if it's cooked right, it's healthy for you.
Again, it doesn't matter because you can live without it. You can thrive without harming animals like that. So if you can, do you think that's the moral way to live?
I don't know how to answer that question.
What if you were in the individual's position and say that someone came down, they were like, oh, I really want to eat people because they're the best nutrition in them. I'll kill them humanely in a slaughterhouse, in a gas chamber, or hung upside down and cut their throat because I just fancy some cheese or a bit of their flesh. Would you be okay with someone doing that to you if you were in that position? You'd be okay being thrown in a gas chamber?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry that you think that way. That's really sad. And I hope that you never are in that position.
I take humour out of it anyway, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, the thing is, you can do that with yourself, right?
Yeah.
But these animals are going inside every single day to these slaughterhouses, screaming for their lives. They are desperate for mercy. They are absolutely begging. I've seen them with my own eyes. I've heard their screams. I've seen them trying to escape slaughterhouses. And knowing I used to pay for that, it was really hard to take that I was that their oppressor. And I know that you're a good person. You came and you sat down, you're strongly against animal abuse. And I just think if you saw what I saw, I know that you would just be like, oh my gosh, like I just haven't realised. And it's not your fault that you haven't seen what I've seen. But I'm going to give you a card in a minute to take home and you can look at it in your own time. There's a speech on there called The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear by a guy called Gary Yourofsky. He does like this powerful speech where any questions that you have, he answers them in this. It is honestly incredible to listen to. I'll give you that now actually before I forget. It's on YouTube. It's only about an hour long, but that one there. So The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear by Gary Yourofsky. But thank you for sitting down, and I really, really appreciate your time. A lot of people walk past, so I appreciate that you've spent time talking to me. But just remember, the whole time that you're not vegan, animals are in slaughterhouses for you, but you have the power to stop that literally now.
Either way, they're going to get killed. Like whether one person stops or not.
But that's not true though, because of supply and demand. So you know we talked about supply and demand before. Like if I say I got 10 apples and you bought all my apples, then I would have to supply more apples. It's the same with their bodies, the same with their eggs, same with their breast milk. They have to keep doing this to animals to keep up with your demand for it. And when enough people boycott these industries, they will crumble and this won't happen to animals anymore. But it always starts from strong individuals standing up for what's right, regardless of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, but then I guarantee there's going to be a whole other issue with like the planet and stuff like that. Because there's going to be an overpopulation of animals and like things like that.
No, so that won't actually happen because these animals are being forcibly bred into existence purely to keep up with demand. So when these animals aren't...
Not all of them though.
They are, yes.
Not all of them, not
they
everywhere.
I understand that you may not have looked into it, but that won't be a problem. Always take what people say with a pinch of salt and do your own research, because the reason I paid for animals to be in slaughterhouses is because I didn't look into it myself. I just believed the adverts on TV and that was that. So go away and do your own research on it. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No worries.